Well, good morning. It's number 59 of 365. This one's called What's Real? What's Happening? I start at 5. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that wherever you are is doing good for you. It is me. It's Paul Carpenter. I don't know why that is even important, but the point here today is that this one is number 59 of 365, and this one's called What's Real? What's Happening? And so this one's going to be kind of deep. I hope you enjoy, and we get in there. Good morning, Daryl. Thank you for joining in. All right, here we go. So, what's real? What's happening? So, for a really long time, I think that people have been trying to figure it out. What is reality? What is perception and our consciousness and this thing that people talk about called your soul? Because a lot of people like to throw that word around, like the soul or the soulmate, or like recently this new movie that just came out from Disney called Soul. And I think through all of the things that I've studied and through all of the things that I've connected with, both in being an artist, being a traveler, a psychonaut, doing all these, types of ayahuasca and stuff like that. I've come to this place where it's about this thing that I've created in my own head. I try to communicate it, called the white room. And this white room has a couple different cool analogies I hope you enjoy. So, imagine that you have inside your head a white room. Good morning, Jojo. That you have a white room in your head. And imagine somebody goes into that white room and puts a Sharpie black marker just in one spot. Now, if anybody were to walk into that room, the first thing they're going to see is that black spot, because it's a perfectly white room and there's only one spot. So I think that is what is a problem in your life. So any problem that you have becomes a Sharpie marker that you can easily clean. But we instead obsess about that thing, and it becomes the thing that we think about, and then that white room becomes nothing but dark and nothing but depressing. Which is why at the end of every episode I said stop thinking about all the crazy things, because that's all you'll think about. Now, the other thing is this white room literally is the world of imagination, yet also connected to your reality. And what do I mean by that? In the center of this white room, if you could imagine with me, is a bubbling spring. And have you ever seen these rocks? They're like circular marble, really like 3,000 ton rocks, and they sit on top. Most of the time they're made to look like the earth, carved at least, and you can push them. And they're real, like, awesome, cool sculptures. Imagine you are the rock that sits upon this thought, bubbling spring. And when you sit down upon it with a conceptual idea in your mind, then that's what the world around you becomes. Now, I want you to kind of bear with me when I say this. Now, what I mean here is, like, imagine like you just started a new job. And as you start working in that job, that world becomes your world. Or maybe you got into a new hobby, and then all of a sudden that everything you start looking at on the internet, everything that you start. So it's the idea that the more that you obsess about that thing, the more that it becomes that reality. Another way I like to express this idea is that we're all a form of a crystal. And that crystal is like inside of a radio. If you know how a radio works, right? And this quartz crystal, depending on how you use the frequency, it will literally tune it to a certain radio station. So we are the same thing. I can be country Paul. I can be crazy magician Paul. I can be artist Paul. I can be classical Paul. And it's all like when we were in high school, you would say to your friend, and I would love to, Jojo. I'll call you in a little bit. You become the thing that you most surround yourself with, right? And so what I'm trying to say at the beginning of this whole thing is like, what is reality and what is happening is based so much on the constructs that other people have given you. And you're kind of like placing these things upon you instead of being the person who's experiencing the thing that's happening around you. And so in turn, you can start to recognize like, wait, this isn't happening to me. This is happening around me. This is happening as if I am on a boat or a kayak on a river. And whether I do or do not do, this a river is a churning. Do you see what I'm getting at, right? And so it's like imagine time as being that river. That river goes, bro. Whether you're going or not, whether you're doing or not, that river will always flow. And so there's this idea that you do not have to do anything at all and just experience, and through that, you're doing what you're supposed to do. There is no idea of, so there's this idea that has been created that you must work hard for the things that you want. And I'm not negating the idea of hard work, okay? But I am negating the idea of struggle for survival. That part doesn't make sense to me. The struggle should not be real. It should be a struggle that you are allowing to experience. In other words, very much, Daryl, like Taoism or Taoism, however you want to express the word. Yes, the idea that very much in the sense that we should just allow life to happen around us. And that not to be held on to the accountability of society and whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's just a bunch of talk. And the idea that there's this side or that side, or I'm angry or you're angry or wear a mask. Oh God, people, we already have so much already to deal with. So many people are losing their businesses. So many small companies are going out of business. The rich are getting richer. It's a crazy moment in human history right now. So the last thing we need to do is gravitate towards anything that's going to pull away from our own sanctity. You see what I'm saying? So what's real and what's happening is thank you, man. Thank you, Daryl. The Tao of Pooh. Like Winnie the Pooh? That would be great. I would love to read that. I read a book called The 33 Steps to the Infinite You by Stuart Wilde. And last year, I did one day each for 33 days. And then I did 14 steps of Think and Grow Rich last year during the 365. As each day was a certain kind of thing. Like, let's go through a book. And I think I did that because I was just running out of things to think about. And like talk about, because it gets hard. But in the end of it all, you could go down the rabbit hole of what reality is, and you find out that, man, this may not even be real. This may be just a video game. And if so, then it is the most ultimate awesome video game that's ever been created, and we're living within it. And that in itself is a gift. To find out that you are, there's like a book, and there's also a couple movies that have been made like this, but many books like this, but it's when the character itself finds out that it is being written. And on some level, you have no control of what the writer writes. And you can either go absolutely insane with that fact, or you can just come to terms with the things that are. And there are those immutable laws that will never change while you are alive here on this existence, on this plane of whatever we're on. And so in turn, when you can come to terms with those things, you can actually come to terms with a lot of other things that are really going on. You know? So, yeah, very much like the Truman Show, Lou. You know, on many levels, we are all living our own Truman Show at this time. You know, it's only going to get deeper and crazier. I really truly feel that, you know, the next step is somebody who's online 24 hours a day. And there's already people who are doing this, but I mean really doing it, where they have, you know, the whole kind of production behind them where they can really be live 24 hours a day. And I think that that's going to be something that, you know, there was a TV show that just came out 4 years ago, or something to that idea. Good morning, Paul. That says something to the effect of, you know, I'll do whatever you guys vote for me to do. And that was a show that was on the internet, I think 4 years ago. I believe that it was made by Seth Green and his production company. And that was very cool. So I see that happening more and more. And, you know, there's a guy that I know whose name is Josh Harris, who I became very good friends with. And he had a documentary made about him called We Live in Public. And he talks about the evolution of toothpaste and the idea that everything is monetized and everything is going to be monetized, in the sense that we will soon be brushing our teeth in front of a camera so that we don't have to pay for our toothpaste, and we get it for free. Like, so, you know, and you get a year's supply or whatever it is, but you have to brush with this toothpaste every day. And that's already happening, right? With people who are what you would call influencers. But at what point do we get to the point where we're all just doing that? We're all saying, well, this is the brand that I, you know, brush with. And because I brush with this and I use this and I'm doing this and this is how I sell myself. This is how I promote myself to the world. This is how I survive in the world, by promoting products. And that's a thing that if you think about it, no world in the future can be non-mechanized without it being socialist. I want you to hear that and understand that very carefully. No future where the world is mechanized will not be a communist socialist style country. It cannot be. You have to think that the ideology of what the mechanization is, the idea of being a cog in a machine, is the system in which you are building into, at which point everything and everyone becomes a cog in the machine. And as Lou was asking, you know, early stage of analog transhumanism, yes, 100%. That's where we are. You know, we're just now at the stage where, you know, Elon Musk has become the richest man in the world. We have the idea of putting implants into our brains to connect to our neurons to control us in some way, shape, or form, or to affect aspects of ourselves that we want to change. I want to quit smoking. I want to lose weight. I want to be able to see better. I want to be able to hear. You know, there's so many things that this new technology will bring, where supposedly they'll be able to get people who are quadriplegic to be able to walk. They'll be able to get people who have never been able to see before to be able to see. And the same with hearing and smelling and so on and so forth. And so what an amazing place of human evolution on some level. And so I've talked about this many times before. This is what becomes the beginning of what's called the 5 wars. And as human beings are, we usually have a war of some type every 50 years or something like that. And supposedly we're late for this one by a very big one, i.e. the World War III. And so something either catastrophic is going to happen both either in a war sense, or it will happen both on a physical world sense, and something big will go off, i.e. a big hurricane or a big earthquake or a volcano of some such. Or if not, we ourselves will dredge ourselves into the quote-unquote ground. Is the ultimate effect of what we as humans do wherever we are, right? So wherever we're not, we see green, and wherever we do see ourselves, we see gray and smoke, and that's not good. And so until we learn that it's not about some form of it's not until we learn that what we're doing here isn't about the manifestation, if you will, of wealth and the manifestation of ownership of humans, and going along with the idea of what Daryl just said, that all these ideas could happen if there was enough meditation, motivation, and realization. And I think really the thing that we're really missing is conscious behavioral patterns that are shared constantly, i.e. like the marketing that we already receive now. If that same marketing machine, which is worth 40 some odd billion dollars a year or more, I think it's $132 billion this last year, if that marketing machine were to flip its ideology in the sense of what it's trying to promote and who, and once again, it's only 5 conglomerate companies that own absolutely everything. Let me read what you wrote here, Lou, because I can't read the whole thing. It says, also, the basic logistics of advanced tech currently rendering low-skilled jobs, i.e. grocery, self-checkout lanes, automated fast food restaurants, etc., obsolete. How are those needing such jobs going to support themselves? Well, Lou, that's the same question as they asked when Ford started doing automation of cars, and it was going to acquire less jobs. And what were we going to do when people weren't going to be making candles and we started having light bulbs, and how are we going to now electrocute ourselves? And the war between Tesla and Edison, so, I mean, those things just alone, those bullet point moments that I just talked about, express that no matter what, we survive, and no matter what, we find something that is another type of job that ends up fitting that cause. Whereas you used to be thought of as a cook when you went to work at a Denny's, then when you went to work at a McDonald's, all you had to know is how to push a button and squirt some ketchup and some mustard, and that was your job, and that's what you did, and you didn't have to worry about any kind of certification and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth will happen in the future. The same thing is like the job tech of somebody who works at a Jiffy Lube who changes oil. You don't have to know much, and it's a very simple, easy job that works on a complex object, i.e. a robot, let's say in the future, that might need an oil change or might need something. You could have a small class or school of some sort that would lead to that. Now, the idea of tech leading to socialism, if unchecked, then you are definitely going towards socialism. And in essence, when you go towards a more technocratic, mechanic future, you are seeing a world that is much more bland and much more, good morning, Elizabeth, much more, much less human, in the sense that it is less connected to the emotions and less connected to what we in this current state call out to be human. It is the idea that the robot will calculate whether or not the person should be saved or not. Good morning, Vito. Or whether or not calculated a 90% ratio that the kid will not be able to be saved. A human being will say, I'm not even thinking, and they will just go. And that part of humanity, that ideology, that thing that speaks our soul or communicates something that's deeper than just life itself. There's that, the ultimate in giving of yourself for somebody else. That kind of idea, that human ideal, that we all believe I think we all believe that we hold, and we do, I think, for the most part. And I say for the most part because when I'm saying that, I can think of moments when people would actually go against that ideal to save themselves. And I say, I don't see that as happening very often, but you can see that happening. Just being real with the moment, right? So now what I'm getting here at in the end is what is real and what is really happening. It comes down to so many different aspects if you watch this whole video, but in the end, it's the culmination of the perceptions of the things that you hold, and that ends up becoming your reality, and many times what we do is we forego, or we don't want to see what it is that we are creating that may be negative because of the overall creation that we are trying to make. And many times that falls under many different things, many different situations that can happen. A father who works 80 hours a week and never gets to see his kid, but gives the family, all the things they could ever want. Therefore raising a child who doesn't really have respect for the father, so on and so forth. Or a person who works for a dream their entire life and therefore forgoes getting married and forgoes having kids and finally achieves the dream of success or whatever it is, but ends up becoming all by themselves, so on and so forth. The story could go on and on and on of the hero's journey of what we see, of what we don't see, of what we wish we would have had, so on and so forth. And in turn, I think deep meditation, sitting with oneself, getting to really know what you want, what you don't want in this life, and also chasing after things that you do and do not want in your life, and seeking discomfort is what I mean by going after the things that you don't want. I'm not saying you don't want to be a drug addict and go try being a drug addict, because that's just silly. But I'm saying, seek discomfort in the sense that, go after the things that you are a bit afraid of or challenging to you, and make that your mantra, So with that, my friends, please go out into the world, do something nice for somebody else today. And if you can't do something nice for yourself, it does start with you. Number 2, don't get caught up in all the crazy things, because if you do, And number 3, if you would not mind, please like, share, subscribe, hit the buttons, hit the subscribes, hit the likies, hit the shares, all that good stuff. If you would not mind, you can go to my YouTube account, because that's where all these videos are at the end of the day. YouTube.com/Paul David Carpenter. You can also go to my Patreon /mentally hip, or you can go to my website called themysticalspace.com. I'm not even sure if it's up anymore because I don't have any money to pay for it. So if you would buy things, then I could pay for stuff. And Lou, I would love to do coffee. All you have to do is call me. My phone number is 832-323-1497. And I'm on the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's always next to me. If you call me, I usually answer. And I'm always here. Let's do this. I love you all. I love you so much. I do. I'll see you all on the other side. Thank you for watching.